So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at enabling an account and contact record updates from the opportunity form within CE or sales. What we're doing here is we're giving the users more for less. Specifically, we're giving them less clicks and more time back so they can do their job that they like and what they want to do instead of entering data and trying to move around applications and figure things out. We're going to see this in action. I've got a short little demo prepared to show you how this works from a user's perspective. And then I'm going to walk through the components and what's involved in making this happen. So at the end of today's session or conversation, if you have more interest in how this is done or just more interest in general in what we do with Dynamics 365, you can reach out to solutions@stoneridgesoftware.com. Or feel free to give me a ping wherever you want. So this came about as a requirement from a sales manager. That manager wanted to make sure we have the contact's name, email, and business phone along with the account's name and address. And specifically when an opportunity purchase time frame is known. So this manager feels like, okay, we can get opportunities, we can start working on them, but once we get a time frame for a purchase, we want to make sure we have valid and usable contact information going forward. So the solution I came up with was to embed editable contact and account forms on the opportunity form, giving us the ability to do that update without having to bounce around and go find those contacts and accounts and making those updates and then coming back to the opportunity. And as you can hear from what I'm saying, it's kind of a roundabout, troublesome issue. And then what we do is we expose and require contact account fields when the purchase time frame is known. So we don't want to have the user have to enter this information unless they want to prior to the time frame being set. So here we got just kind of a quick look at what the screen kind of looks like. And I'll go into a demo here in a moment, but you'll see on the left side, we have some contact information and also the account information. And we got a couple notifications telling us that we need to enter that information. So with that, I'm going to go into my demo. So here we have the objects involved. I got the wrong tab. I'll click over to the correct tab here. Apologize for that. So here we have the opportunities listed. And as a salesperson, I want to do a new opportunity. You see we have by the red asterisk, we have a required field. So I'm just going to say this is a Stone Ridge Connect opportunity for sales. Yeah, sure. That sounds good. You'll see right here, we have our purchase time frame. We have a contact and account. So very simply right off the bat, we can create that opportunity and save it. And all we needed was the topic. So at this point, the salesperson can go and collect information on products, field service information, possibly maybe get some documents and include them in this opportunity, or enter some of this other information that is needed. But key for today is when they get a contact, for instance, AJ Foyt, one of my favorite racers from back in the day, and we'll just grab an account at Coho Winery, one of my wife's favorite beverages being wine. So that's kind of why I use those. But as you can see, we can select those, we can hit save, and we still just have that basic information there. But as soon as I come in here and I'm like, well, you know, they've decided a customer wants to make this purchase next quarter. Now you notice that in real time here, AJ Foyt information has come back and expanded. Now this is information exposed directly from the contact account, and we have the red asterisk saying we need this information: last name, email, and business phone. And I'll scroll down a little bit further. You'll see that we have our winery. We have the account name. We have to make sure we have that. That's required. And the service address also. Now, if I were just to hit save at this point, we get email required, must be filled in right off the bat. And then we go down here and we'll see that AJ Foyt, we need his email address. So it's going to force me to add his email, AJ Foyt, not Fort, at racing.com. I hope that's not a real email address. And now I can hit save. You'll see that error message went away, and I can hit save, and that information is saved. And that information is stored directly in the account table or even in the contact table in this case. So you don't have to make duplicate fields on your opportunity to capture that information. So with that in mind, go back to my PowerPoint here. So you see what that did is it gave us some really quick ways for the salespeople to enter that information. They didn't have to go back and forth to that specific contact or that specific account form, update information, and come back to the opportunity. So really, it does save them a lot of time and a lot of clicks. So what did it take to do that? So the solution that's involved, the first part of it is we embedded these contact and account forms on the opportunity form, and then we expose and require the contact and account fields when the purchase time frame field is known. And I kind of put together just a bullet point list here of what we have. So for the tables, we have the account, we updated a form, the main account form, we created a business rule for that requirements. We have a contact form that we use to embed, and then another business rule to require those fields. And then the opportunity, which of course is the main form. And there we added a couple of extra columns for embedding the lookup and the account. So we can actually base the embedded forms up off of those fields. And that's the opportunity form. Oh, excuse me. And then of course we have some other business rules, like we copy the parent account to the parent account for the embedded form, so they're keeping those fields in sync, and the same with the contact and the parent contact embedded form. And then on the opportunity, we do a show and hide of those embedded forms, since they don't need to be there all the time, only when we have that purchase time frame. So next, I'm going to go back to CE here. Just bear with me just a moment. Here we go. So going back to here again, I'm going to go into my solution where all these items are contained. You can see there's not too much involved initially, but I'm going to walk through each of these and show you what's involved. First of all, I'm going to start with the opportunity, or I'm sorry, the account. And on the account, we created a custom form specifically to use on the opportunity and embed that. Now, this is a main form that is editable that we embed. And as it spins up here, we can see that as it comes up, there we go. I only put the important things that we needed on this form. So account name, which is required. And then we put that service address because we wanted to make sure that we have that available on the form. And then I just gave that name opportunity update because I want to make sure I could easily find that form. Going back into the account, we have a couple of business rules here. Actually, just one business rule. And I will open this one up so we can have a look at that. There we go. So we have this business rule that resides on the account form. And what we're doing is we're going to check to see if the account name has any information in it or the account name is filled out. And then we would require various pieces of information like the account name, obviously, and the address, street one, city, state, and I'll scroll over here and you can see it goes all the way off to the zip code. And then just to kind of keep it clean, if the condition is not met, we go back and we still require the account name and the address and so on the full way across. The reason we're doing this is because we want that required no matter what, but we did have to have a condition set here in the business rule to make that happen. So that's all we needed on the account side of things. On the contact, very similar. We have the form. That we set up just for that opportunity update form. I named it so I could easily find it and know what it was for. And this is going to take and contain just the fields that we're looking for from the contact entity that we want to see embedded. So we have first name, last name, email, and business phone. So very straightforward, simple forms used to do that. And then again, hopefully this one's a little bit faster, but the business rule related to that contact, very similar to the contact or account. We have to have a condition here, so I'm just checking to see if the first name contains anything. I require that email and I require that business phone. And even if it's not there, I still require that business phone and email because we want to make sure that's going to be there even on the opportunity form when we fill that out. And here's where like the most of it takes place. We have these two columns that I talked about. Basically, there are going to be a lookup to the account or a lookup to the contact, and we keep those in sync with the out-of-the-box parent account form field and the parent contact field on the opportunity. And then the form itself, the opportunity form, the changes we made here are a little more involved, and this is where most of the action takes place. So you'll see we have the out-of-the-box contact field. I'll click on that. We can see the name over here that it is the contact, the parent contact ID. This one, the parent account ID. So we have those, and here's our purchase time frame, just an out-of-the-box field that has different options for the client or the salesperson to choose. What we don't see, and I'll turn on show hidden here, is right below the contact, I added an embedded form. And I initially hide this form because we don't need to see it all the time. We only need to see it if we have a purchase timeline. And we just have a few of these other settings here. Contact lookup view, we're not really using that. So on in our label. But the key thing we want to look at here, though, is down here in the components section. We have the form component control that I added to the form. And I'll click on this here and you'll see we have that lookup column is selected. It's still bringing back our information. There we go. We told it the related table is contact, and there's that opportunity update form that we wanted. You'll see if I click this, we have all the forms that we can use. So that's why it's important to make sure you name it something that is easy to find. And then as I go down to the the account form, getting those mixed up. Again, here we hide that by default, but we have that form component control. Maybe I should have a drink while that's opening up. You'll see here, this one, we pointed to the account table, and we have that opportunity update form from the account that we selected. You can see the other options here, but that's the one we wanted with that minimal amount of required information. So you see, we have these both hidden by default, and we have those added to the form. Let's go back here, back to the opportunity again. Couple important pieces within the opportunity form is we have a couple of these business rules. We'll take a look at the account one first. So when a user selects an account for the opportunity, the parent account, if it has data, we copy that information to that parent account for the embedded form. If it goes away, then we clear that out, because we don't want to have that information lingering that's not valid for that opportunity. The same thing applies here on the contact, copying that parent contact information to our new field and then clearing it out. That's how those keep in sync throughout the process. And then our last business rule here on the opportunity is our show hide the embedded forms. So if the time frame contains data, we have it does not contain data or contains data. Excuse me, let me read through this again. If the purchase time frame does not contain data or is unknown, then we want to hide the account. And you'll see this is focused on that field that we have that component with the embedded form tied to, so we can hide that embedded form. And we also do the same with that contact embedded form, and you'll see the parent contact for the embedded form field is here, visibility set to no. And of course, if we have that in place, then we want to show those forms that are tied to those fields. So here's the account with the yes here and the contact with yes. So just to kind of recap the importance of having these two additional custom columns here involved is so we can tie those embedded forms to those columns and be able to hide and show them as needed. Now that we've gone through that, let's just go back and have another look at this again. So as we saw, if we actually remove AJ, you'll see this just kind of blanks out altogether. And we don't even see that, even though we have next quarter, we still need to require account and contact. Now, as you can see, and I just noticed myself, I did not require these even when they're not there, and they really should. So there's a good point there for testing and making sure you go through all your different scenarios to make sure you have the required fields or requiring the fields as needed. But if we go back and I'll pick a different person, you'll see this information comes up, and that's part of those business rules that is making this happen. And the same pretty much duplicated for the account part of it and bringing that information in. You'll see these are highlighted. So if I actually took out their name, which I shouldn't do for whatever reason, and hit save, it's going to tell me it needs to require that. So just keep in mind that this is some pretty straightforward basic functionality that can be done within other forms also based on lookup fields. So for instance, if you are wanting to do something that on a lead form, you could do similar things with that, with lookups to different supporting data, or you could actually do it on the account form possibly with maybe some contact related information, or even quotes and orders. They could work similar to the opportunity. So my point there is just this isn't specific to the opportunity contacts or accounts. This is a concept that can be used across the board in various locations and various forms.